All right, continuing my quest to get a SQL Server set up. All right, so I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried installing it with wget with different versions, SQL Server 2022 or 2019 Express Developer. I tried installing that patched version of the installer. No luck. Today I am going to try setting up a Docker container using Linux running on Windows to run SQL Server on a Linux Docker container. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install Windows Subsystem for Linux. And what I'm trying to do is avoid installing the Docker desktop. So I'm installing Windows Subsystem for Linux, which will have Ubuntu installed. We'll see what version's installed on there. And then we will try and install the Linux Docker container with the version of SQL Server for Linux. All right, so install. Okay, so I got to do install Ubuntu. Let's list and see if it did install that. Okay, what happens here? Why does it shrink? Stupid Windows terminal. All right. We'll pop through this. Pretty sure it should have installed Ubuntu 22, I would guess, by default. I guess it didn't show installing Ubuntu. It installed Windows Subsystem for Linux without installing the Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay, so this shows, I guess, the available ones available online. So how do you list the ones that are already installed? It looks like it's going to install something old like Ubuntu 18 or something, or Ubuntu 20. We'll see what happens. It's working. Okay, just want to clear the screen, guys. All right, I need to figure out what we're doing here. WSL install. Install-D, distro name. List with -v. I don't think that's going to work. Yeah, has no installed distributions, even though it just installed a distribution. So WSL list is supposed to list your local versions. The operation completed. The changes will not be effective until the system is rebooted. Until Windows is rebooted. I must have missed that last time. I've been living in the 21st century for too long. Can't remember the last time I had to reboot a computer and have a coughing fit. I'm so phlegmatic about how primitive Windows is. All right, you're 30% there. Click on my parallels junk. A couple of clicks every time. Now I'm 96% there. Think I'll have to reboot again? All right. Let's pop into this. Oh, I figured out how to move my desktop to the left with the configuration. And now it's starting the download. Oh my goodness. We finished installing. No, you can't use it. You have to reboot. Oh, after you reboot, we will start downloading. And then have to reboot again. So I wonder if it's trying to run WSL bash instead of git bash, which was running before, which is why when I open the terminal, it says, hey, bash. Bash is a Windows subsystem for Linux command. We need to install a version of Ubuntu because it didn't install it before. And that way we can install Ubuntu so we can have bash so we can open your terminal, and then I won't have my git bash anymore. Let's see. Okay, so it did open git bash. Does it give me PowerShell? Okay, so it gives me Ubuntu here. Installing. We just installed Ubuntu twice already. We're going to install it a third time. Now close this terminal with Control, which means Command D. Okay, let's this way. WSL register distribution failed with error. Please enable the virtual machine platform Windows feature and ensure that virtualization is enabled in the BIOS. Visit Aka. All right. So maybe what I'll do is I'll install SQL Server on the host Mac in a Linux VM or in a Linux Docker container. It needs a Linux VM to run a Docker container. Okay, let's find out. Anyway, running it on the Mac, running SQL Server on the Mac host. Just wanted to show a quick demo of using SQL Server Manager, setting up a database so I can show how to test a web service that uses SQL Server. All right, the error code is not directly related to WSL register distribution. The error typically indicates WSL feature is not enabled on your system. To resolve the issue, you can enable through the control panel. Okay, so we want to enable. Remember how we installed WSL? All right. Let's try PowerShell, run as administrator. Jeez. Okay, let's see. Enable Windows optional feature, online feature name, Microsoft Windows subsystem, Linux. Do you want to restart? Sure. I think this is a conspiracy to just make you pay for an Azure instance of SQL Server. What do you think? They want you to use a cloud SQL Server and charge you by the minute because you can't install SQL Server on a computer anymore. No, that's a positive opinion of Microsoft. It's the opinion that they're malevolent, not incompetent. Now, even though it boots up Windows, right? I tried to open my terminal. I tried to open my browser. You just have to wait another minute or so. Okay, so we've lost our terminal output. Oops, we need to run PowerShell as admin, I think. Everything runs as root. Well, let's grab this command again so that we can get the... I wonder what that aka.ms, that's some kind of branding thing, right? Path, restart needed faults. Okay, so it looks like it's not actually installed. Downloading Ubuntu, we've been here before. These good long pauses of silence they make for great video content, don't they? Okay, WSL is not supported on your platform. ARM architecture parallels. Okay, strike 7. Please enable option in virtual machine option in the BIOS. Enable virtual machine platform by running WSL install no distribution. So the operation completed successfully. All right. Downloading once again. It's not gonna work. So, I mean, part of it's a parallels limitation, probably. Part of it is a macOS limitation. Part of it's an ARM architecture limitation. All right, WSL2 is not supported with your current machine configuration. All right, so let's hop on over onto a 21st century operating system. And let's get some, I'll continue using this browser over here on Windows. So I might have this open already. How to run SQL Server. Docker run. Let's first make sure Docker's running on here. Okay, so I need to start Docker. I'm going to start Docker Desktop on Mac, which all it really does is it launches some small, I don't know, Alpine Linux distribution so that we can run Docker. And it has a web app. All right, so let's see if we can figure this out. How to run Docker on Windows without desktop. So that's what I was trying to do. All right, let's try one more time to run Docker desktop. A large part of my problem is Microsoft not saying that it fails to install stuff when it actually fails to install stuff. It says it succeeds, wants to reboot, tries again. Docker desktop installer doesn't appear to want to work, right? And it just, is it hiding back here? Add shortcut to desktop, okay. Okay, not from Docker Hub. So we don't want to go to Docker Hub. We want to go to like the MS MCR, right? Yeah, this is it. And latest. Okay, so where'd it go? So having trouble thinking. Where's my Docker desktop? It's still installing. So I can't do a Docker pull. So here's the funny thing, right? Whether you're using the Enterprise Edition, the Developer Edition, or the SQL Server Express, you pull the whole image for all of them, and then you pass in the SQL Server PID, right? MS SQL underscore PID, and you specify Express, and then it will, right? It has this huge binary with multiple paths, mind you, so you essentially have three binaries in one, right? The Enterprise, the Developer, and the Express version. And I say, I want to pull this giant binary, download 3 versions of SQL Server, and then I want to specify which version of that SQL Server binary and all its associated libraries that I want to run. So I want to run the SQL Server Express version, which is different from the developer version, which is different from the enterprise version. Which is actually different from the evaluation version. So there's actually 4 versions. The evaluation version is not actually the same binary as the enterprise version, but it will upgrade to the enterprise version when you enter your license key, I guess. Gotta sit down. All right, how's my Docker doing? Close and log out. You must reboot Windows once again. I mean, log out, but reboot, same thing. Oh. All right. Let me go back to the beginning. Okay, we want to run Docker desktop. Accept the terms of your enslavement. Skip. What's your role? I'm a skipper. I'm the skipper of this ship. Docker engine stopped. Okay. Now, it says Docker engine stopped, but what I think it really means is Docker doesn't run on ARM, or Docker doesn't run on Parallels. So why don't we start it? Where do you start it? If you were using Docker Desktop, you wanted to use Docker on Windows, and Docker engine was stopped, what do you think you would want? Do you think you would want like a big red button, maybe like half the size of the screen that says start, or at least as big as the sign in button? Maybe in a hidden menu somewhere, but there's not actually even a hidden menu. There's no menu. Okay, here's a Docker menu. These are just web links. Setting start Docker Desktop when you log in. I don't necessarily want it to run when I log in because it might consume resources. But I want it to start when I start it. Okay. So I think it's probably not stopped, that it's failing. It failed to install, and that's what it's saying. Restart. You're about to restart. A restart stops all running containers. Do we have any running containers? No. Does Docker know whether there are any running containers? Yes. This Docker Desktop has to know if you have running containers in order to display if there are running containers. So why is it asking me if there are running containers? All right, so I restart. There probably won't even be a notice. It'll just continue to say Docker engine stopped. Engine stopped down here. All right. So, and I downloaded the version of Docker Desktop for ARM, which, to be fair, has an experimental label, right? So let's uninstall. All right, let's uninstall Docker. Yep, uninstall Docker. Let's start my control panel. Okay, let's go to programs. I also want to start my settings. All of these are, or not, yeah, settings, services. All right, is there a Docker service? Probably was. Docker Desktop Service. That's not running as a service. Remember, there's a checkbox to make it run as a service. All right, so we're at settings. We're at uninstall Docker. One app found. It didn't uninstall. It has this window up for uninstalling, but it's not uninstalling. Or maybe it's thinking about uninstalling. Or maybe it actually is uninstalling and the progress bar just doesn't work. Windows. All right, so it succeeded in stopping. That's a good deal. Okay, so we can go to services. Is our Docker Desktop? It's not running. Let's check on our SQL Server stuff. So we've got a bunch of SQL services that we need to uninstall. So let's go into control panel, right? Settings, control panel, different things, same functionality supposedly, but they work differently. So let's try and remove Docker Desktop from our control panel. See if it works this way. All right, we bring up this. Okay, so it looks like it's starting. That's better than it was doing before. Uninstalled successfully. Now it shows it's still installed here. Okay, I was going to have to refresh. Now let's go to my settings and go to our apps. And okay, Docker's missing here. Okay, that's a good sign. What else do we need to get rid of? We could probably get rid of GitHub Desktop and Google Chrome, Media Player, Microsoft 360 Copilot. I doubt I can get rid of Media Player or Microsoft Copilot. So I need my ODBC and my OLEDB driver, even if I don't have SQL Server. Okay, so I need to uninstall SQL Server 2019. It failed to install. It says it's installed, but it failed to install. SQL Server MS. SQL Express 02. So it says we've got it running here, right? We've got all of these installed instances. But of course, none of them are installed. So I'm going to just double check on this one. Okay, SQL Express 02. Try Windows authentication. Watch it work. SQL EXPRESS 02. Well, that's a relief that it didn't work. At least it's consistent. Microsoft. It's not very good. You're free to use that slogan if you want. I don't remember who the CEO of Microsoft is now. Okay, now we'll click remove. I couldn't possibly imagine someone watching this. I mean, maybe if I were funnier or smarter or something. But man, if you enjoy watching this video, I'd like to subscribe to my Patreon, and I will send you a bucket of paint, paintbrush not included, but you can just do whatever you want with that paint and then watch it dry. That's a perk for being a Patreon member. Got an attack of the yawns this morning. I'm boring myself. All right, while that's happening, okay, so we've got Docker running on here. I've got some WordPress container, it looks like. And now I need to I'll hop back over here to my Windows. Oh, I don't have Brave running on Windows either. I thought I had the right. Okay, so Docker pull MCR Microsoft SQL Server dash Let's go to mcr.microsoft.com, and that's the Microsoft container registry, but no, it's not the container registry, it's the Microsoft artifact registry. I thought I was going to say asset. Okay, we can click on databases here. We've got the Microsoft Red Hat based or the Ubuntu based. What is the latest? Latest is probably, okay, so MacOS SQL Server latest. We probably want 22 latest. Forget it. Docker command not found. Oh, wrong window. Terminal app would like to access the terminal. All right, what can we do while this is happening? Let's go check on our uninstall over here. It looks like it has hung on this particular item here. Close SSMS. What a terrible name. Oh, I can install my Posh on my Mac. I kind of like when I was dinking around doing this the other day. Check what's going on over here. All right, run blue, clean up all my Posh. Okay, so let me see. We need to init. All right, let's read how to do this. All right, oh my Posh Mac OS. I know you can't see it. So it says there's a cask, this J&D Doubler. Brew upgrade on my Posh. Next, install a font. Okay, so I can do like oh my Posh font install. I think it'll give me a list. Yeah, so I can choose do I have like the Mononoke? I think that's the one I have on Windows. Oh, font list. Let's see. So I modified the Blue Owl theme, I guess. Does this have a font specified? No. Oh, maybe it's my terminal has a font specified. Appearance, font fit, Mononoke nerd font. Okay. Okay. I think because we've got these symbols, we'll see if we need to change my terminal to use that. Let's see. What do we? Okay. We need to get a theme, right? Cache config debug disable enable upgrade version. Okay, so get posh themes. I bet that doesn't work. I think that's yeah, that's a PowerShell command for Windows. So maybe I need to go to the regular downloads. On my posh blue elf owl. I don't want to swap. Open with Visual Studio Code. So I can just grab that, and I'm going to cut and paste that onto omp.json. Control D. Nope. Command D. I've got my command control mixed up. Get rid of that extra screen split. Okay, now all right. So now I don't remember how it's set up. It's probably in my bash RC or something like that. Go away, settings. Nobody wants you. Well, I guess I had it open here. That's why there was a swap. Here we go. So I need to oh my posh init bash config downloads oh my posh. Okay, so I need I guess I probably don't need to specify bash because it's got ZSH. So let's make sure that this file exists in that same path. It may or may not. Bueno. I'm going to just go out on a limb and see if this works with ZSH like that. And then I'll add this to my bash profile. All right, so we can see we've got some issues with the background colors here on this, but it shows a little Mac symbol instead of a little Windows symbol. And then if I Now I've got my main tag here. And what if I go to my terminal settings and I make my background color like darker, like black or something. Okay, so yeah, the colors are still off on these arrows. These are like half diamond, it calls it. But we're just playing here, so did I screw that up forever? I did. We'll try it one more time. Quit terminal. Was I doing anything? I don't know if I was downloading a repercussion. Okay, so gotta change my color back to something. All right, so I lost my colors. It was probably something like 224466 or something like that. Nope. 113355. Nope. 223344. Maybe 112233. Yeah, let's go 223344 for now. Okay, so this says essentially initialize Oh My Posh with CSH and this this config file which has the colors and symbols and stuff. Okay, and now here, new window, and it didn't work. Oh, because it's in Bash RC. If I type Bash, then it the default interactive shell. Okay. Okay, so I thought that was a pretty pretty sparse Bash RC file. Now let's close it and start it up again. Terminal on Mac. There we go. So we've got Oh My Posh working, and I'll tweak those colors someday. But that's a start. Okay. Okay, let's go back here and see how my uninstall is happening. Okay. Skipped, succeeded. Okay, skip to my loo. Look, this is still here. No, it's not. If you hit refresh. Okay, so I'm going to uninstall the rest of these SQL servers, and we'll try again next time with the macOS Docker container for SQL Server running on Linux in order to use my SQL Server Management Studio on stinking wobbly thing on Windows. On Windows on a Parallels VM. Failing that, we will fork out the $40 or whatever to run it on AWS or Azure, something like that. See you then.